You walk into a room with quiet confidence, and before you even speak, you can feel the hostility, the eye rolls, the whispered comments, the immediate assumption that you think you're better than everyone else. You're not being arrogant, you're just comfortable in your own skin, but somehow that comfort makes weak people deeply uncomfortable. Here's the brutal truth: weak people don't hate confident people because they're obnoxious. They hate them because confident people represent everything they're too afraid to become. I watched this play out with a colleague named Marcus. Successful entrepreneur, spoke with clarity, made decisions without second guessing himself. But instead of respecting his achievements, the weak people around him constantly undermined him. They called him lucky, spread rumors about his methods, and celebrated every minor setback he faced. The reality is this: when genuinely confident people show up, they're not just living their lives, they're exposing the excuses of everyone around them. They're walking proof that the limitations weak people have accepted are actually choices. They trigger them because they're living evidence that weakness is optional, and that truth is too painful for weak people to accept. Confident people don't trigger weak people because they're offensive. The real reason weak people hate confident people isn't jealousy, it's existential terror. Weak people have built their entire identity around their limitations. They've become so comfortable with their excuses that someone else's confidence feels like a personal attack on their worldview. Think about the psychology here. When you have spent years telling yourself, I could never do that, or I am not the type of person who, and then you encounter someone who embodies exactly what you thought was impossible, it creates a crisis. Your brain has two choices: admit you've been lying to yourself about what's possible, or find reasons why that confident person doesn't count. Weak people always choose the second option. It's easier to label confident people as arrogant, fake, or privileged than to admit that confidence is available to anyone willing to do the work. It's easier to tear down someone else's strength than to build your own. This creates a toxic pattern. Weak people unconsciously try to pull confident people down to their level through criticism, gossip, and subtle sabotage. They are not being malicious, they are protecting their fragile ego from the truth that their weakness is a choice. But here is what they do and realize: every attack on confidence is actually an admission of their own powerlessness. Picture the weak person 5 years from now. Same job, same complaints, same victim mentality. But now they've added a new layer: deep resentment toward anyone who dared to succeed while they stayed stuck. They've spent so much energy hating confident people that they've forgotten how to become one themselves. They've become professional critics instead of creators. They can spot fake confidence from a mile away, but they can't build real strength in their own lives. The tragedy isn't just what they haven't accomplished, it's who they haven't become. They chose to become the person they admired instead of attacking the people they envied. Every time they chose to tear someone else down instead of building themselves up, they moved further away from their own potential. All those years criticizing others could have been spent creating something powerful in their own life. Every time they chose comfort over courage, they reinforced their own weakness. And the confident people they despised, they're thriving not because they're better humans, but because they chose growth over gossip. They chose self development over self pity. The weak person is left with a painful realization: all that energy spent on resentment could have been used for transformation. The confident people aren't the enemy, they're the example, but weak people would rather fight the example than follow it. I used to be weak. I remember sitting in a conference room, watching this executive confidently present his vision to the board. Instead of feeling inspired, I felt angry. He's so full of himself, I thought. Probably doesn't even deserve to be here. But then I caught myself. Why was I so bothered by his confidence? He wasn't hurting anyone. He wasn't being disrespectful. He was just certain. The qualities I used to attack became the qualities I started developing. I stopped being a spectator in other people's success stories and started writing my own. And that certainty triggered something dark in me. That night, I had the most uncomfortable realization of my life. I wasn't angry at him, I was angry at myself. I realized that confident people aren't the problem, they're the proof that transformation is possible. His confidence reminded me of everything I was too weak to pursue, every dream I had abandoned, every goal I had talked myself out of, every time I had chosen comfort over courage. The moment I stopped hating his strength and started building my own, everything changed. The people I used to resent became my teachers. That shift from weakness to strength didn't just change my life, it changed how I saw the world. Here's your weak to strong transformation framework. Step 1. Own your weakness. Stop pretending your limitations are circumstances. Admit that your weakness is a choice you've been making. This isn't about self hatred, it's about taking responsibility for your own power. Step 2. Study confident people. Instead of criticizing them, learn from them. How do they carry themselves? How do they handle criticism? Each small act of courage builds your confidence muscle. How do they make decisions? Turn your triggers into teachers. Step 3. Build through action. Surround yourself with people who expect excellence, not excuses. Confidence isn't built through affirmations, it's built through accomplishment. Start taking risks, set boundaries, speak up when it matters. Step 4. Eliminate weak influences. Stop consuming content that reinforces victim mentality. Stop hanging around people who celebrate mediocrity. Step 5. Embrace the discomfort. Growth requires leaving your comfort zone. The path from weak to strong is uncomfortable. That discomfort isn't a sign you are doing something wrong, it is proof you are doing something right. Your weakness isn't permanent, it's just your current operating system, and like any software, it can be upgraded. Imagine walking into a room as someone who no longer feels threatened by other people's confidence. You see someone crushing their goals, and instead of resentment, you feel inspired. You meet someone who's comfortable in their own skin, and instead of hatred, you feel motivated to develop that same strength. You've become the person who builds others up instead of tearing them down. Not because you're trying to be nice, but because you're strong enough that other people's success doesn't diminish your own worth. The confident people you once hated, they're now your mentors, your inspiration, your proof that transformation is possible. You have learned that strength isn't about being better than others, it is about being better than who you used to be. You've discovered that the energy you used to spend on resentment is now invested in creation. The time you used to spend hating others is now spent improving yourself. The mental space you used to dedicate to weakness is now filled with possibility. You've become living proof that weakness isn't a life sentence, it's a starting point. You have shown that the gap between weak and strong isn't permanent, it is just the space where transformation happens. Now, when weak people encounter your confidence, they might hate you at first, but maybe, just maybe, you'll be the example that shows them strength is possible. The cycle of weakness ends with you, the path to strength begins with you. Stop being weak, start being strong, your future self is waiting.